Hey, good morning. This is a video and a playlist. Okay, this is in the food playlist on my channel. This is on fish, and normally you eat food, but in one of these stories, food ate a man named Jonah. Fish ate a man named Jonah. Okay, so we'll get to that, but I'm gonna start with Genesis 1, right at the beginning. 126. God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth." And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the fish, over the fowl, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." Okay, does this say food stamps? This is Numbers 11. "And the mixed multitude that was among them fell lusting, and the children of Israel wept again and said, 'Who's going to give us the flesh to eat? We remember the fish, and we did eat freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic.'" Okay, so Egypt's got free fish. So it sounds like food stamp city. Okay, I don't get food stamps here. I do take food stamps. If you'd like to donate me some, you can give me your snaps. We also take Visa, MasterCard, Discover, PayPal, Cash App, and Chime. Okay, so hold on. How about Deuteronomy? I think that was the one I was reading. This is like take 3 on this video because the neighbor just came over looking for carpet stickers. We have a corruption zone in this town where there's rats all over, and they don't take the garbage if you don't have a sticker, even though, they're scamming. Anyway, how about, this is Deuteronomy 4. Let's start at line 15. "Take great care what you do, therefore, since you saw no shape on that day at Horeb, when the Lord spoke to you from the midst of the fire. See that you do not act perversely in making yourselves a carved image in the shape of anything at all, whether it be in the likeness of a man or a woman, or a beast on the earth, or a bird in the air, or any reptile on the ground, or any fish in the waters under the earth. When you raise up your eyes to heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars and all the array of heavens, don't be tempted to worship and serve them." Okay, so make no graven image. That's the message to those people that run around that say there's a Jesus fish symbol. There's no symbol. Make no graven image symbol is a commandment. So, all right. Oh, here's a good one. 2 Chronicles 33. Now, this talks about the fish gate. Okay, it says, "After this he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, entering even to the entering in at the fish gate. He compassed about Ophel and raised it up very high, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah." Nehemiah 3 talks about this fish gate again that the sons of Hassenaah built, laid the beams thereof, set up the doors thereof, the locks and the bars. Now, locks and bars, doors, sounds like a jail, but here there's bars on every corner where people. The Catholics got cigarette in one hand and alcohol in the other. And then they're doing organized crime during the day. We need help. Send money. Okay, how about this? Nehemiah 12 also talks about the fish gate. Nehemiah 12 says, "From above the gate of Ephraim, and above the old gate, and above the fish gate, and the tower of Hanil, and the tower of Meah, even unto the sheep gate, they stood still in the prison gate." Okay, so we should have gates, right? Okay. Let me ask you this, because I only lived in Pennsylvania and Florida, and I owned a property in both places. But I'm wondering if you people that don't live in those two states, if you have people that do trout stocking, like to throw like fish in your lake because the lake didn't have any or something. Okay, maybe that's the fish gate. Okay. Psalms 8 talks about the fowl of the air and the fish of the sea. It says you have made... Okay, let's read the whole thing. It's really short. Our Lord, how great your name throughout the earth. Above the heavens is your majesty chanted. By the mouth of children, babes in arms, you set your stronghold firm against your foes. By the mouth of children and little kids and babes in arms. You set a strong hold firm against your foes to subdue your enemies and rebels. I look up at your heaven, made by your fingers, at the moon and the stars you set in place. Ah, what is man that you should spare a thought for him? The Son of Man that you should care for him? Yet you have made him little less than a god. You have crowned him with glory and splendor, made him Lord over the work of your hands, and you set all things under his feet. Sheep and oxen, all these, yes, wild animals too, birds in the air, fish in the sea, traveling the paths of the ocean. Our Lord, how great is your name throughout the earth. So obviously I think that was God talking about how people put something between themselves and him. They put another man when they're not supposed to put anybody before him. Okay. Isaiah 50, wherefore when I came, was there no man? When I called, was there none to answer? Is my hand shortened at all that it cannot redeem? Have I no power to deliver? Behold, at my rebuke I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness, and their fish stinketh, because there's no water, and dieth for thirst. Jeremiah 16:16, I will send for many fishers, said the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill out of the holes of the rocks. Ezekiel 29:4, I will put hooks in the jaw, and I will cause the fish of thy rivers to stick unto the scales, and I will bring thee up out of the midst of thy rivers, and all the fish of thy rivers shall stick unto thy scales. And I will leave thee thrown in the wilderness, thee and all the fish of the rivers, and thou shalt fall upon the open fields. Thou shalt not be brought together nor gathered. I have given thee for meat to the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven. That might be a story about Nebuchadnezzar, if I remember correctly, but double check me. Okay, Ezekiel 47:10 shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from En-gedi even to Englim, and they shall be a place to spread forth nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding in many. Jonah 1:17, the Lord prepared the great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. There was Joey did a study on Jonah, but I think I flipped it over. But Jonah didn't want to go someplace. He didn't want to go to the city. But he ended up going. It was Nineveh. Okay. Zephaniah 1, line 10, it shall come to pass in the day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, a great crashing from the hills. Okay, noise and a cry from the fish gate. And we learned up there the fish gate was in the valley. Okay. And I hope that you know who your state representatives are, and maybe check out their website. But this is what I did over Passover. I reviewed some of the Facebook pages of the elected senators around here, and there was two types I found. There was senators that were all about the fish, like fishing season, the trout season. And then there was other senators that were all about the Passover. So, that's what I found. The people that were talking about the Passover were not talking about the fish. And the people that were talking about the fish had no interest in posting anything about the Passover. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, hold on. How about Matthew? That was a story about somebody asked Jesus, do you pay taxes? And he did, with some fished up money. Okay, Matthew 17:27. He said, lest we offend them. He didn't want to offend them. So he said, go to the sea, cast a hook, take up the fish that first cometh up, and when you open the fish's mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. Take it and give it to them for thee and me. Okay, so for thee, them, for me, and thee. Exodus 7. The fish that's in the river shall die, the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake to Moses and said to Aaron, take the rod, stretch out the hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams and the rivers and their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in the vessels of wood and vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded. He lifted up the rod, smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river turned to blood, and all the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. Luke 11 talks about, this is like one of those rhetorical questions. If a son asks bread of any of you that's a father, will you give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, are you going to give him a serpent? And then I think it goes on to say, if you would, then you're evil. You're an asshole. Okay, how about John? As soon as they were come to the land, they saw fires of coal there, and there was fish laid thereon, and bread. And Jesus said to them, bring of the fish which ye have now caught. And Simon went up and drew the net to the land full of great fishes, and 153. And for all there were so many, the net was not broken. And Jesus said to them, come and dine. And none of the disciples asked him who he was, knowing that it was the Lord. And Jesus then cometh and taketh the bread and giveth them, and the fish likewise. It's a message in the Book of Mormon. ether too, they did lay snares and catch the fowls of the air. And they did prepare a vessel in which they did carry them, with them, the fishes of the water. Now, I know the Book of Mormon also carried bees around too. They called them deseret. So it looks like they were carrying fish too. So I mean, there was a story, where they multiplied the fish, like Jesus kept handing it out, and it just kept coming. We also have 1 Corinthians 15:39. All flesh is not the same flesh. There is one kind of flesh of men, and another flesh of beasts, and another of fishes, and another of birds. John 21. Other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, and they were dragging their net with fishes. John 21 also talks about fisher's coat. Therefore the disciple whom Jesus loved saith to Peter, it's the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked. And he jumped into the sea, cast himself into the sea. So Peter was fishing naked. His body, his choice, I guess, but that's a hook. Yeah, be careful. Okay. Jesus did ask for meat. They gave him a piece of fish. That was Luke 24:42, and a honeycomb. He took 5 loaves and 2 fishes, looked up to heaven, blessed them, brake it, and gave it to the disciples, and still had left over. Fed a bunch of people. That was Luke 9. They were astonished, and all that were with him, at the draught, D-R-A-U-G-H-T, of the fishes. That was Luke 5:9. Great multitude of fishes that their net was breaking, or broke. Luke 5:6, break. Luke 5:2, they saw 2 ships standing by the lake, but the fishermen were gone out of them, were washing their nets. Mark 6 talks about they ended up taking up, after Jesus fed them and all that, they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments and of the fishes. Mark 8:7, they had a few small fishes, and he blessed and commanded to set them also. So even the small fishes. Small catch. Fishers of men. Jesus said to them, come ye after me, and I will make you fishers of men. And my website, which is wheresciencemeetsreligion.blogspot.com, I have a post on that, and I put an image. It was like an image of fish in a fish trap. Like it was a big metal square trap. All these was loaded with fishes, a picture of that. And then I had, so it looked like fish behind bars, and then I had jail, like men behind bars. So it's fishers of fish, fishers of men, because the bad guys, we gotta do something, because they've overrun our town. They started out with 7 loaves and a few fishes. That was in Matthew 15. 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and break it, look up to heaven. That was Matthew 14. Zephaniah 1, I went over that. It shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second. and a great crashing from the hills. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of heaven and the fishes of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from the land. Let's see if I can find... I forget that this video is already 20 minutes. Alright, I'm just going to stop right there, okay? Have a great day.